also share fields, because they will be more confident in science, maths, and physics with someone who understands the world as a whole, including the people, the culture, the religions, and also especially the major problems in Indonesia, the political and economical sectors. And this is where our focus is today. Before I'll start giving up my arguments, I would like to define today's motion. The scholarship is the Indonesian government-funded scholarship program for postgraduate studies. STEM fields again, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, fields such as engineering, medicine, computer science, which are all associated with technology and compared to STEM fields. Before our team is going to bring out two main arguments, which is our first argument is we argue that prioritizing shared fields would increase the quality of politics in the country, which is Indonesia, while also improving the STEM fields in the long run. And our second argument would also be, we argue that prioritizing shared fields will also increase the economy, which is a major problem in Indonesia, and again also will improve STEM fields in the long run. This brings out to our first argument. Again, we have mentioned that our first argument is, by prioritizing shared fields, we would increase the quality of politics in the country, which is Indonesia, while improving the STEM fields in the long run. Why, you might ask? Because as we all know now, a lot of the STEM fields rely on a good system, a good country, and with a good political structure, and also political structure and also a good system. Without a good structure, students with STEM fields will receive hardships while trying to improve their STEM fields back in their own country. This includes major problems like corruption on infrastructure funds, and especially on STEM-related infrastructure. In the current status quo, Indonesia has been known to be both unstable in both politics and economy. By sending people to colleges outside the country with good political knowledge, these people who are sent abroad will also not only learn how to create good policies, but also learn on how the other side of the world also works. By prioritizing those shared fields, it is hoped that students can bring those useful information back later to Indonesia to improve the state of politics in Indonesia itself. With an improved line of policymakers in political installations, we can improve STEM fields by making sure that the policy and the allocating fund is being given towards the fields and the proper STEM fields and also other shared fields such as education and arts, and also ensure cleaner politics for the people of Indonesia to trust in the government's more. In our side, prioritizing shared fields benefit both all shared fields, the country, and also STEM fields. And for those reasons, that is why we support today's motion. Thank you.
took them 5 minutes 11 seconds. Thank you for the speech. Now, the first speaker of the opposition team, I would like to invite you to the stage. Please, the time is yours. I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Panels. In today's debate motion, this House and the Indonesian government would prioritize LPDP scholarship for shares fields over the STEM fields, completely contradicts with our stances. First, before we continue to our arguments, we would like to rebut what the first speaker of the government team has said. First, they didn't specify a mechanism, while we are going to specify our alternative later. They said, if you prioritize share, people like share more. But now let me ask the same question back to the government team. What if people also like STEMs? I would like to state that in this debate, we are not removing any of the majors. We are prioritizing it. So their state is completely symmetrical to ours. In our world, we won't erase share. We will prioritize STEM first, then support share department later. So people who like to do share can still pursue their likings. Now, let me state my status quo. In our world today, our country Indonesia is in a state where we need change. We are a developing country and we need to catch up with other countries. STEM are more focused on technological advancement and economical is a faster route to improve our country, while share, where it focuses on social and humanities, can take ages for it to grow, because this is a fact that social and humanities is from within. We don't know what will the country face in the upcoming years. By prioritizing STEM, we can secure our countries from these attacks, such as wars, pandemics, and etc. Because our country resources, as in medicine, technology, and economy, prepared. Now, I will say the actors of today's motion. The actors of today's motion is the government itself. The government of Indonesia country wants our country to be a developed country, because right now we are a developing country, and we need to do that by prioritizing STEM first, because prioritizing STEM is one of the most easiest way, one of the most simplest way to improve our country. And this LPDP scholarship are the ones that will help us achieve that goal. They are obligated to come back to Indonesia after the LPDP scholarship, after they finish their scholars outside of Indonesia. And what does the society want? The society wants this to happen. The society in Indonesia wants our country to be a developed country so that they can live stably. Now, what are the burden? The burden of our side is we need to prove that prioritizing STEM can benefit more than prioritizing share. Second, by prioritizing STEM, we can also develop the share togetherness, because by developing STEM, we can also develop share in the same area. And we need to prove that our alternative overweights their mechanism. Now, talking about mechanism, because the government team doesn't state their mechanism, I will state our alternative. By prioritizing the LPDP program to focus more on STEM, it can develop our country faster, because by developing these STEM, we can improve our technology, our medicines, our economy, all of those that I said above. And by prioritizing STEM, then that can also maximize all our natural resources effectively. And also by prioritizing country from a developing country to become a more developed country. Now, I will state the first argument of the opposition team. So, what is the reality of the situation in Indonesia? Panels, if we take a look around all over the news, we can see that currently our natural resources are not handled by our own country. Currently, our human resources currently Indonesia are limited in human resources in technological department because to improve in technology department, so our natural. So resources are actually handled by other countries because we lack human resources that can actually make the natural resources better. So what is our interest to fix this problem? Indonesia government wants to be an independent developed country that doesn't need to be dependent on other countries to maximize our natural resources by prioritizing our STEM departments so that the next generation can handle our own resources better. They can make the resources inside the country. And the impact of this is by developing it would turn Indonesia and give us our own advantage to our resources and control our economic developmental activities. And that's why the opposition truly oppose today's motion. Thank you.
It took them 6 minutes, 32 seconds. Thank you for the speech. Now, I welcome the second speaker of the government team. The stage is yours.
Is this audible enough? Okay. I will be starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, our honorable educators, respected opponents, and everybody present. Today I stand as the second speaker. But before we proceed, I would like to deliver a few rebuttals for the opposition team. So, our first rebuttal is that I said, what if people like STEM more? We have said that we see the politics as the foundation of the country, where the people will have a foundation where they can have a leadership that is proper enough for them to develop the STEM and also the other fields that they really want properly. And then they had said that people need to live stable, and this will soon be proven by our second argument about how the developing of share will increase the stability of the economies of the country. And so they said that the current status quo, that the reality today, no thank you, is that the human resources or the resources of the country is not being handled by the country itself, but our resources are not being handled by our own country itself, because we lack in politics and leadership that is supposed to manage these and lead and standing for the whole country properly to make sure of the management of the country's resources. So thank you. With STEM, we can use the resources properly, is what they said. But what is the importance in using the resources properly when they don't have any humanity while doing so? And so I will be moving on into rebuilding our team's arguments. As previously brought by my first speaker about how the prioritizations of shared development will improve in the terms of politics and the country in which stands above STEM. In this case, we must pay attention deeply to how Indonesia right now stands, still as a developing country that surely needs the role of politicians and leaders who are capable to fight and speak for the whole country. The need of a better political education is dire as the country still lacks in leadership, and as a leader, political figures need to be capable enough to stand for the whole country and lead the society as a whole. A political leader must have some important points, which is humanities, where the social humanity knowledge is strongly needed in the making of a foundation for the country that makes sure of the human rights are being delivered and spread fairly in the whole country. For instance, the rights for everyone to have their own beliefs and religion is according to the state's ideology's first point. Here we learn also that when the country is strong enough in leaderships, in politics, and the other fields that stands beneath this, such as STEM, could develop under a proper protection under the country's leadership that determines their safety with support of pursuing the fields that they want, such as STEM. And so now, as the second speaker of the governing team, I will be delivering one more key argument in the favor of this motion. Our second argument is about the prioritizations of shared development will improve the economics of the country. Ladies and gentlemen, as we know that the current reality of status quo of the Indonesia's country economies, where the money current of rupiah, where value of rupiah is getting increasingly lower by each day. This states a clear problem as the money current, such as rupiah, is one that the Indonesian people uses. For instance, the $1 now is 7,600 rupiah. This lowers the value of Indonesian money in other states, where it gets increasingly hard for each Indonesian people. Indonesia, as a developing country, relies on other states for necessary supplies, no thank you, and resources such as oil and gas. When the money current gets lower, these resources are no longer affordable and easily accessible for Indonesia as the supply gets more expensive each day. This reflects hard on the need of a proper educated people to be able to raise the country of the economy of the Indonesian system. The economy of a country is extremely important as it is one of the most important points to survive in the real world. This determines on the survival of people on whether they
On the other side, the manifestation of share would take later to manifest the economic output rather than our side, because our side does that will manifest faster than your side. How will you respond to that?
Thank you. I will be answering that in the argument further. So the economy of a country is extremely important as it is one of the most important points to survive in the real world. It determines on the survival of people on whether they are going to be able to live properly or not. So then, we need to the presence of these LPDP scholarship achievers that studies in real deep problems of economy about how to increase the mobility of a country and also how to decrease the inflation. This is one more time dire and very important to determine the lives of the people. Therefore, when we have a properly educated people to handle in the terms of economics of the country, then these serious problems of economic problems will soon decrease and the country will get enough funding to fund in more fields, including STEM. This, once again, also answers to the questions that the opposition has asked. To sum it up, when the economic situation of the country is improved, it determines the qualities of life and survival in the country, and when the economics are stable for the country will be able to fund in necessary points to improve the country, such as education, infrastructure, reducing the poverty that is happening in the real life of these people, and also production, and also the protection of people. And for those reasons above, we as the proposition team had proved on how the prioritization of LPDP in share could improve the country's well-being, and for these reasons above, we as the proposition team states that we proudly proposes this motion. Thank you.
It took them 6 minutes, 39 seconds. Thank you for the speech. Now, I invite the second speaker from the opposition team. Please welcome.
Test. I
will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Panels, I think it's very clear that we as individual government should and would prioritize the LPP scholarship for STEMs over share. Why? Well, before jumping to our arguments, then we'll let rebut what the government has said. They said that they bring example of Rupiah who is gonna lose value over time. Because of that, because it is very unpredictable, the very solution that we can do as an individual government is to focus on and prioritize LPP scholarship for STEMs over share, because STEMs can bring a real and concrete economic gain output that is manifestly better for our side because it manifests faster than their side. Because STEM studies and skills can and make people go to STEM workforce that gonna have an immediate economic output for the individual government itself. Whereas share would indirectly and would slowly take manifestation for our side then. And not only that, so we showed that the urgency is on our side and not on their side. So they also said that the way for us as an individual government to improve economically is by funding a share, because share will have political figures who will handle the economic gain. But that is completely false and untrue, because the ones who is gonna handle the political economy of Indonesia is not people from share but from STEM. How will a ministry from share, from humanities, from arts, from religious handle the economical gain and the economical way for Indonesia to grow? And we think that, and we believe that the government people who would improve the economic gain for Indonesia is not from share but from STEM. Because obviously, STEM studies show how to manage the economy, how economic grow, how economic work, etc. Right? So now let's jump into our argument. The first argument is that we have a problem as a government team, as the government, as an Indonesian government, we are trying to catch up to other first world countries, right? Because we need to economically have an economic advancement and economic advantage so that we can grow better as a first world country. Because we are in a developing country right now, and our interest, I think it's pretty clear, because we want to develop a society that can compete economically, and not only on the Indonesia itself, but also on other countries such as Indonesia. So because of that, because other countries' citizens are high quality. They are high quality in terms of technological advancements on how to utilize their natural resources better. But we are unable to do that. So we, as an Indian government, would prioritize the LPP scholarships for STEM in hopes that these graduates will have an economic momentum that they can give back to us, so that they can be utilized by our side, right? So what is the impact of this then? Well, because of the graduates from LPP come back to Indonesia and improve the economic gain because they work for STEM, in terms of technological advancements, we can finally utilize the economic progress. Yes, in terms of how to handle the socially, for example, but we're talking about the economy right now, right? And they fail to realize that the ones who is handling the economy is not people from social humanities or arts or religious studies and etc. For example. But STEM produces a more critical thinking and ability and a deeper understanding on how to handle the economy, right? So, continuing to my impact, then we can finally compete with other countries in terms of technological advancements, and we can finally reduce the gap of the human resources inequality in other world countries and our outside countries, which is Indonesia. Right? So the graduates who come back to Indonesia can finally work and upcycle the economical gain and advancement that we already have. And because of that said investment, the economical gain that we have, that we bring, can finally be utilized to improve public infrastructure, such as school, roads, healthcare, for example. And those are a direct impact to society itself, not just for the Indonesian government. Because as our responsibility is pretty clear actually. It's pretty clear actually. Our responsibility as the Indonesian government is to make our society prosperous. And we have shown you exactly that. So we fully believe that we have won this debate because their side fails to show how this will impact not only on the society, they only show the impact to the society, but not on the economical advancement with maturization. Because we have shown you that this that our side and that our alternative is actually better contribution to society. So in our work, it caters to all actors and not just the LGBT sources, and we also cater to the society because the society can suddenly have a beneficial impact on the utilized economic gain from like, as we were saying before, like public roads, schools, healthcare, etc. And this can be manifested efficiently and faster because, as we were saying before, the economy is unpredictable and we as a developing country cannot afford if we experience like pandemic, for example. So we cannot afford to lose that momentum. So what they will, yeah, they're gonna say that society gonna be higher and empathetic because public resources for share gonna bring more empathetic and higher society, but it doesn't necessarily improve the economic prosperity because as we said before, there's no economic gain that can be utilized in the rest of the house. So if there's a society that's gonna be higher and empathetic, but they're gonna be not economically prosperous. So what is the point of that then? So we have shown you that we are clearly win on this debate. Thank you. We are proud to oppose.
It took them 5 minutes 44 seconds. Thank you for the speech. Now, the floor is given to the third speaker of government team. Please welcome to the stage.
I will start my debate in 3, 2, 1. I'm going to be talking about two clashes or things in my speech. Before I move into my clashes, this debate is about which side gives more realistic and longer impact to the country. There are two major clashes in this debate. First, whether prioritizing LPD's scholarship shared fields will increase politics, which again, it will improve STEM fields. Second, whether prioritizing LPD's scholarships or should we just prioritize LPDP field STEM because it can help the natural resources by STEM development. And my second clash is whether prioritizing LPDP scholarships for share will fix the economic issue of the economy, or it will can improve the other things. Before that, let me emphasize the framing we want to prioritize. What we frame here is that we want the prioritize to be the scholarships for shared fields. We believe it is the foundation. Now, the opposition claims that by prioritizing STEM fields, it can improve the natural resources. However, this argument is weak. Why? Because firstly, there's no proof of how the STEM fields people can handle the natural resources. Because at the end of the day, they need the role of politics to agree on what they want to do or what they want to maintain the natural resources. This STEM fields people need the improvement from the country where there are a lot of politics, education people there that can agree with their state. Now, if the inside of government itself is lacking of politics people, how can we need to fix the politics in the government team, in the government place first. So our mechanism here is that we need to give good education for people who wants to study shared fields so that they can go and bring those knowledge inside the country and fixing it. The opposition also claims that natural resources not handled by our country. This just actually proves our argument. Why? Because if the opposition itself claims that government don't handle the natural resources, then what we need to do here is that we need the politics people with good value to fix this thing. What our first speaker already told you is that prioritizing shared fields will increase politics, which will also improve STEM fields. Why our side has better arguments? Firstly, we already told you that by prioritizing this shared social humanitarian LPDP scholarships for those who want to specialize their patient and contribution towards social. This is a good thing to do. Why? Because the foundation of the country itself is how the country manages the society, which of course leads to our stance, where we want the prioritization of the shared LPDP fields. By prioritizing this, it will improve the country politics. Social humanities are the most important role of a country that they can rely on it. Now, That is why we should prioritize LPDP scholarships for shared fields. Later, these people who got LPDP scholarships for share, they can go to other countries to learn about how to manage their country or how to goodly manage a country. Now, under the status quo itself, the current status quo, in Indonesia itself, we see a lot of things are happening about the country politics. That is why we should give and prioritize LPDP to those so that they can come back to Indonesia and to help improve our politics and country development. We need to fix the inside first. Then the politics are already, when the politics are already stabilized, we can now improve the STEM fields because STEM also is important to develop our country into becoming a technological country. But then, at the end of the day, people who specialize in STEM again, they need to have a permission to the country, which also in the government itself, it is the shared people educated fields people. This is why we need to emphasize the foundation first before we develop the others. After this has done, we can go for giving prioritizing to the arts people and religious studies because again, religious is also the foundation of people inside Indonesia. And art itself is a part of our nationality and it is our responsibility as a society to preserve our culture. And even in Indonesia itself, we have a lot of culture that needs to develop or it needs to be improved, and we should protect and maintain our arts on culture too. This is why our argument is stronger. Now, under our side, we want these LPDP scholarships shared fields to increase their politics, which again, in the end of the day, it also improves the STEM fields. While on the opposition side, they want to prioritize STEM because they said that it will help natural resources improve by STEM development. Now, the real question here is why our impacts matters more. Because firstly, in a developing country, we need to improve the top thing to do. We need to fix, which in current status quo itself, Indonesia has lots of problems in this section of country. Should we just prioritize other things while not thinking about the foundation itself, which in this context is social humanities, politics, and religious studies and economics? We believe our argument matters most because our mechanism here, based on the reality happened, and again, we don't ban the STEM field. It can still be prioritized after the foundation of our country itself has fixed and emphasized. Now, moving on to my second clash. Whether prioritizing LPDP scholarships for shared fields will fix the economic issue of the country. The opposition claims that the government is from STEM fields. Is it people that run in Indonesia or on shared shared fields? They never actually answered our question because this is a wrong big mistake from our side. Now, moving on, our second speaker already stated. Before that, the opposition also claims that that E for the share is not economic, but the fact is share for E is economic and it is not STEM fields. Now, just moving on to my second speaker. What our second speaker actually told you is that prioritizing LPDP scholarships for shared fields will fix the economic system at the country. Why? Because it's shared. Because it will itself has economic subject in it. Firstly, our second already told us today that our current status quo in economy has been increasingly false to uncertain situation in Indonesia. With economic education to improve the current situation, the economy of a country is extremely important. Firstly, economic is also the foundation of our country. Therefore, thank you.
It's a good 7 minutes 27 seconds. Thank you for the speech. And now, we shall hear from the final speaker, the third speaker from the opposition team. The time is yours.
Testing. Okay. Okay, so I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Panels. As the Indonesian government we realize that we are a developing country. And developing countries are usually characterized by having low human resources or economic prosperity. And as the Indonesian government, which is this motion, we want to decrease said problems that we have already stated. And doing this is by prioritizing STEM graduates to go to LPDP programs over share. Because keep in mind, this debate, we are not prioritizing, we are prioritizing and not replacing share departments. We are not replacing share departments, and we are talking about on which one to prioritize and not which one is better. Before moving on to our alternatives and our arguments, I would like to rebut the statements that the government has made. First of all, they said that because of Indonesia's low human resources, then they should instead focus and prioritize on share departments. But the improving and the increasing of human resources is not only exclusive to share departments. STEM departments also can increase critical thinking because science, maths, and other subjects in share departments and in STEM departments, all need critical thinking and are based off of exactly that. So when students go back to Indonesia after amplifying their education overseas through LPDP programs, this ultimately brings not only economic or industrial benefits, but also societal ones. And this proves that their argument fails on their side. Second, they said that share benefits all aspects of the country, but they never really state that the economic benefit or national benefit and just focuses on societal benefits. Even they did when they stated that share can improve rupiah. But the fastest and quickest way to improve our economy is to export or import our resources that STEM graduates can directly help. So this proves that they didn't explain furthermore and their argument like that. Keep in mind, this is an actor motion. You are acting as the government and not as society or anything like that. And also, they said that politics is a foundation of the country. But if said political forums or people don't have the facilitations or buildings to discuss and better the political state, what can they do without the engineers that are made in STEM departments? And lastly, they stated that share can make economics better because the E in share is economics. But in STEM, there are also the M is in mathematics. So by learning mathematics, you are also learning economics, but in a more in-depth way. So STEM graduates can also help in economic state development. So going on to our alternative. First of all, prioritizing LPDP programs on STEM. We can stabilize the economy and gain input through the technological advancement that we gain as the government, that we gain as the Indonesian government. And second alternative is that prioritizing STEM departments and eventually gaining economic input as our DLO and LO has said, the economic input that we can gain can be eventually allocated onto share departments because keep in mind we are prioritizing and not replacing them. And moving on to our arguments then. First argument is that we all know Indonesia has a limited human resources in technological advancement, and because of this, our natural resources are handled by other countries. While as the Indonesian government, we want to be an independent country that is not dependent on other countries, our own resources. And by prioritizing STEM departments and graduates, when they come back to Indonesia, they can help in multiple countries so that we can handle our own resources. In turn, this gives us our own advantage and authority to our resources, and we can see control of our economy. Okay, but we have actually stated that we are prioritizing STEM departments. We are first prioritizing STEM departments and then share departments. Share departments would still get their field of subsidies or scholarships, but ultimately we want to prioritize the STEM department because they are the ones that are handling the export and import. Without the export and import, what would the economic students do? So that's my response. And going back to our argument, second argument is that Indonesia is trying to catch up to first world countries. And as the Indonesian government, we want to grow our country's prosperity and more specifically economically. We do this by implementing our alternative, which we have stated before, by prioritizing STEM departments, so that coming back to Indonesia, they automatically get jobs that contribute to technological advancement, and this can better our overall society's nations. So, panelists, when you weigh this debate, one question to ask: whose side ultimately brings and aligns with the actors' POV? In the proposition, they only tackle about the societal impact, which yes matters to the government, but in the status quo, this proves that the They brought their mechanism on the third speaker, which is already too late in this debate because that means they are bringing new arguments, which is fatal. And while as opposition, we proved that our burden of proving that prioritizing STEM for LPE brings more benefit to the government, proving that prioritizing STEM can increase economical growth, proving that Indonesia can be developed to be better by prioritizing this, and prove that alternative is better. And that is why we as the opposition here are standing proud to oppose.
It took them 5 minutes, 39 seconds. Thank you for the speech. Now, we finally move to the reply session. Each team will summarize their speech from a single side's perspective and explain why their team has won. Each team will have 4 minutes to deliver their speech. No, there will be no more new arguments in this session. We will start from the opposition team. Are you ready? You can start.
Okay, I'm going to start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Panels, I think it's very clear who already won this debate because we have shown to you how prioritizing PPP scholarship of STEM would actually improve major economical gain, not only for us as the government, but also as the society itself, right? So, let us take a look at what has happened throughout this debate, right? First, their Prime Minister doesn't state the mechanism for the motion. Because in the policy motion, as you all know, we already do, like today's motion, they need to prove a mechanism on how it systematically grows for the entire motion. And how they will recognize their records. Well, the opposition team states our alternative to the how this will systematically work, right? And even if the mechanism that they bring it is already too late because they bring it on the third speaker of this house, which is not allowed in throughout the entire debate, right? And not only that, the argument that the government has brought relies more from the societal point of view and not the government itself. We have shown to you that the interest of the government itself is that we need to improve the economic gain and economical output so that we can utilize and make the society itself is much more prosperous. And we need to do it now because the urgency that we have stated before is that we are a developing country. And as we all know, developing countries cannot afford to lose their economical momentum. So because of that, they need to do it and they need to make it now by prioritizing LPDP scholarship because the graduates from LPDP scholarship of STEM will actually gain back more economical output that can be utilized. The economic investment that these graduates bring to us would be utilized for public infrastructure, which we have shown you will directly improve the society itself, right? So, as you all know, we are currently talking as a Indonesian government. Well, they are to focus on the society point of view, right? So, not only that, the government team states that the mechanism too late, as we have stated before. So I think it is very clear that we have won this debate because we have shown to you and we have stated to you the impact not only on the Indonesian government itself, but also on the overall society and how the LPDP scholarship will benefit them. Not only on the economic gain, but also the society. So we believe that we have already won this debate motion by far. Proud to oppose.
It took them 2 minutes, 25 seconds. Thank you for the speech. Now, we'll continue to the reply session from the government team. Are you ready? You can start.
Test. Okay, I will be starting my reply speech in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, our honorable educators, let's take a look on the reality of the country right now. It is clear that in Indonesia, this developing country lacks an appropriate political condition that could really lead and protect the whole country as a whole to provide protection and support for the people in their life. Therefore, a country needs a political condition that is proper and that will clearly take the people under a protective way. The country's economic condition too is undeniably weak. Economy is so important because people now experience real world harms and problems like poverty. Therefore, how will the country survive without a proper political figure and a stable economy? While this might sound too harsh and too honest or too extreme, but this is the real reality that we live in right now. Let us take a look back on the debate that we have done previously. This debate talks about whether LPDP's scholarships should be prioritized more on STEM or share. This debate crosses down into a few questions that I will be explaining in the form of two questions. The first one, will prioritizing share improve the country or should we cause benefits to the country or should we prioritize STEM instead? Which will improve in economics of the country, share or STEM? And so to answer that question, the government side had said a lot of things to prove their point by saying that the STEM students also take a big part in the political figures and also the politics. But they failed to focus on the real problem as STEM does not focus on the humanities that are really needed in the political world. Because what is a political leader without the humanities, without the feeling to be able to protect the humans and the country as a whole? That are necessary important of the leadership of the countries. The usage of process and also resources management cannot be done properly without humanity. So how can we make sure that society can develop when the country itself lacks a good political person? This comes down to our first argument earlier that we have brought that the political and also leadership is very important as a foundation for the whole country to make sure that the fields that are under it can properly operate. And so they also claim that we are on their side, but no, we have proven that we have our own stance that we propose that this motion should be supporting more on the share instead of the STEM. Because even if opposition state that maybe it may be true that about the natural resources of our side still argues and still gives more realistic and long impact matters first. Because our mechanism of the public and economic needs to be fixed first. They also didn't give any solutions for the economic problems that we have stated earlier, where the economics of a country is extremely important. Firstly, because economy is also the foundation of a country, and the current status quo that we have given when the dollar might increase for Indonesian people. This had been because the STEM fields people itself cannot help with Indonesian problems. Because learning in STEM and also mathematics does not equal in the knowledge of economics. Therefore, we can see here that our side has proven more on the benefits of the share of the shared developments in scholarships rather than the STEM, and also we have proven the benefits that are real impact on the human society. So therefore, we as the proposition team strongly propose in this motion. Thank you.
It took them 4 minutes, 15 seconds. Thank you for the speech. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the adjudication session. The judge will now deliberate and decide the winner of this debate. Please give the adjudicator some time. Everyone in the room remains to be quiet.
Okay, thank you for like very interesting debate and very timely way. Teori-teori yang dan teori-teori memutuskan
saat pengumuman seluruhnya akan diumumkan nanti. Jadi teman-teman bisa jadi hands dari seluruh serta ada juga yang berdiskusi terlebih dahulu sambil terus pengumuman. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kita jawab sebentar ya. Oke, bisa shaking hands. Thank you for the debate.
Nanti turn off.
Hah?
Turn off baru disimpan.